Welcome to the channel and welcome to this 1000 point battle report between Iron Warriors and Imperial Fists. So the Iron Warriors have attacked this Imperial bastion on this industrial world where they have set off detonations to break through this side of this sealed refueling chamber where the Imperial Fists have been rearming to fight their heretic brethren as they make planet fall. It is a 1000 point game and it is a sort of narrative match play type game. So I play match play points, as in there's 1000 points aside. But the narrative element is that there are no match play objective rules or anything. The Iron Warriors' objective is to get the majority of their force here in the refueling center where these tanks and fuel depots can be secured for their war effort. The Imperial Fist's objective is simple. It is to form the defiant yellow line and hold back the tide of traitors as they try to burst in and steal their precious supplies. So in that we have our cultists forming the front line, the cannon fodder, followed closely by the Sons of Perturabo, Terminators and a Sorcerer Lord, a Land Raider, and on the flank, a racing cadre of bikers. The Imperial Fists have a repulsor that is currently being fueled up, a squad of 6 brethren, a captain upgraded to a chapter master, 6 more Imperial Fists Primaris Intercessors, a Redemptor currently being fueled, and a Librarian who is ready to stand and defy the Psyker from the Chaos Hordes. So without any further ado, let's see who has the first turn. Yellow dice for the Imperial Fists, black dice for the Iron Warriors, and it is going to be Iron Warriors turn 1. End of the movement phase for the Iron Warriors, and it is a push forward into this battle grid. The bikers have done an advance. They have moved all the way from around here because their vehicles are unable to go over these pipes. So although the Iron Warriors have busted in, their vehicles, their heavy armor, are unable to go over these pipes, such as the Land Raider as well over there. But the troops are able to scuttle over and ignore that terrain. For purposes of terrain, I'm using line of sight blocking terrain for the big pieces. If you're within an inch of the crates and the different things laid about, you count as being in ruins, except for the vehicles because they're too big, and use of light cover and barricades if you're within 1 inch of the pipes if you are infantry. But I like to keep terrain nice and simple, nothing too complicated. So, movement, Terminators have moved up along with the Sorcerer and Terminator armor. The Iron Warriors, Chaos Marines have moved up here. The Cultists have pushed up. Land Raider moving to the flank, looking to burst through on this side and hopefully bring his heavy weapons to bear. And as I said, the bikers have moved up. We're now going to go into the psychic phase, where the Sorcerer is going to attempt to cast Warp Time on the unit of Terminators to get them to move again. Let's see if he is successful. That is an 8. That psychic power is going to go off. They're too far away to deny at this stage, so those Terminators are going to move again. And the Terminators have pushed up on closer to the objective. Although the line of sight blocking terrain is hampering the Iron Warriors, perhaps they have burst in here too soon. The Sorcerer may have to be a little bit more tactical when it comes to trying to take on these Imperial fists. But he's now going to try and cast Prescience to give this squad +1 to hit. And that is going to go off, I think, on a 6. Does not go off on a 6. Prescience requires a 7. So that will be the end of the psychic phase. We're now going to line up some targets and go on to the shooting phase. Starting off the shooting phase with some small arms fire, this squad of cultists are going to unload all of their auto guns onto that unit of Imperial fists. So let's hit on 4s. That came into 4 hits. It is, however, strength 3 against toughness 4, and it's going to wound on 5s. That's 2 wounds. The Imperial fists will have a save of 3+. 2 3-up armor saves. 1 failed. One of those Imperial fists is going to take a wound. Now, this squad of Chaos Space Marines are going to target the same squad. They can see that lone Marine stood out there, so they will unload their bolter fire on him. They have 7 bolter shots, which are going to hit on 3s. And that is 6 hits. They are going to wound on 4s. They're going to wound 4 times, and the Imperial fists will save these on 3+, and they save every single one. The bolter fire goes in, and the Imperial fists stand defiant. They will not be broken. Melta gun and plasma pistol are out of range, so it is the missile launcher is going to send a crack shot into the back of that repulsor executioner, hitting on a 4 because they moved. And that is a hit on a 6. It's going to wound on a 4, strength 8, toughness 8. That is not a wound. So the missile streaks out and crashes somewhere into those crates, doing no damage whatsoever. We're going to move on now to this squad, who are going to target the same squad once again. So we've got 10 shots. We're hitting on 4s. Just 3 hits coming through, wounding on 5s. 1 wound goes through. The Imperial fists will save this on a 3+ and pass it. Their armor holds firm. Now we're going to unleash hell with the Land Raider, and its las cannons are focusing on the repulsor in the distance. So the Land Raider focuses its infernal weaponry on the repulsor there in the distance, and is going to hit its las cannons on 3s. That is 3 hits. It is going to wound on 3s. Strength 9, toughness 8. It wounds twice. The repulsor, because it is 50% obscured, will have a save of a 2+, -3 is a 5+ save. And ignores the damage. It says no to those shots coming through. The Iron Warriors will certainly be regretting that. Heavy Bolter is going into the squad, as is the Storm Bolter, which I should have declared earlier, but here we are. Heavy Bolter hitting on 3s. That is 3 hits, wounding on 3s. 2 wounds. These are dangerous because these are 2 damage each. They will kill a Primaris Marine. And they saved both. The Imperial fists are standing firm. Stormbolter shots, 1 hit, and no wounds. And that is it for firepower from the Iron Warriors in turn 1. The Bikers advanced, so they can't fire. And they did 1 wound to an Imperial Marine. So now we're going to move on to the Imperial Fists' turn, and they will no doubt have a chance to wreak some retribution on their hated foe. End of the movement phase, and the Imperial Fists are adopting a bastion formation. They're pulling tight together in order to deal back a hammer blow to the Iron Warriors. The repulsor has turned round to level its guns on the Land Raider in the distance, and its small arms fire is going to go clattering into the bikes racing up its flank. This squad pulled back using a line of sight to mitigate damage coming through. The Chapter Master is waiting for the foe to rear their head so he can beat them with his sword, basically. The Redemptor, filled with hatred no doubt from wars against their hated foe, is starting to stride forward towards the Iron Warriors, and this squad has pushed forward to lay some fire upon those cultists. The Librarian advanced, so there will be no psychic powers this turn. However, they do not need the psychic might of the warp, for their guns shall speak, and death will reign. I'm going to start over here with this squad, unloading everything they have into those cultists running towards them. They have been blessed by the Chapter Master to reroll all hits. That bubble, that aura being given to them this turn. So this is 15 shots and is going to hit on 3s. There were 4 misses, but thanks to Imperial Fist doctrines, those 4 become hits. 15 hits in total. Strength 4 against Toughness 3 is going to wound on 3s. 9 wounds have come through, which is going to be saved on 6 pluses because there's no AP. And 3 of them are saved, so 6 of those cultists are just going to go down. 6 cultists down, and now this squad is going to do exactly the same thing, firing in over there. 15 shots going into the cultist over on this flank. And re-rolling 1s because they're in range of the captain. Which is good because there's quite a lot of 1s there. 3 missed, but there were 5 dice done, so in total 17 shots out of 15 have hit. Gotta love the Imperial Fist when it comes to bolters. These will wound on 3s, and that one dropped. So that looks like 3, 6, 9, 11 wounds on that squad. So here's 10 on 5 pluses because they're within range of a barrier. And 1 more. No, so that is 8 have fallen to these rounds. Cultists are down across the battlefield, doing what cultists are supposed to do, dying in service to their legion. Now the repulsor is going to warm up its Aquilon optics and target the Land Raider. All the other small arms, the heavy bolter, the heavy stubbers, the storm bolters, the frag storm grenade launchers, are all going to go in to the bikers, which it can see just through that gap there. But let's do the main weapon, the heavy las destroyer, hitting on 2s thanks to Aquilon optics. And that is 2 hits. It is strength 12, the Land Raider's toughness 8, is a wound on 3s. And it doesn't wound. Neither of these behemoth tanks have managed to injure each other. They have both spoken and their weapons have been muted. So let's gather up some dice and shoot everything else into the bikes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the frag storm grenade launchers into the bikes. 2d6 shots, 10 shots. These hit on 3s. That's 8 hits. They will wound on 5s, however. And that is 2 wounds. There is no AP to this weapon. 2 wounds go through, saving on 3 pluses. And that is a 6 and a 3. Those bikers are fine. Next up, we've got 2 storm bolters. And they hit with 3. Wounding again on 5s. 2 wounds this time go through. And 3 pluses to save. 1 wound, so one of the bikes has been tickled. tickled bike at the back there. Now we're going to move on to the heavy bolter. This is the dangerous one because this is a 2 damage weapon, sorry, on 2 wound models. 6 shots hitting on 3s. And no 6s to explode, but still 4 hits. Wounding on 4s. That is all 4 have wounded, and it is AP -2 thanks to the Devastator Doctrine. So these are going to be 5-up saves, or bikes are going to die. And 3 bikes have fallen. The bikers are starting to feel the pressure. They are cut down by over half, and now there is 12 shots from the Gatling heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, sorry, hitting on 3s. And this is not a bolt weapon, but it doesn't matter because there are no 6s anyway. And out of that there is 9 hits, wounding on 3s. And that is 5 wounds going through at AP -2. This is 5-up saves in the bikes. One too many dice. And that is another biker gone and 1 wound left on the squad leader. 1 wound left on him. Things are not looking good for these Iron Warriors, but it's still not over. The Behemoth speaks once more. There are D3 shots with the Icarus rocket pod. 1 shot hits on a 3. That's a hit. It's going to wound on a 3. That's a wound. AP -2. 2 damage. Saved on a 5+. No, the bikes have been wiped out. Their flanking maneuver has been thwarted. And the Iron Warriors have certainly taken a pounding in this first turn. And it's still not over because the Redemptor is now going to speak. And it has some Terminators in his sights. So the Redemptor is short on range as it still warms up and crashes across this battlefield. However, it has got its Onslaught Gatling Cannon in range of the last 2 remaining cultists to wipe those out. And then its Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon is going to go into the Terminators. So let's do the smaller gun first, hitting on 3s. Everything hits, and annihilating on 2s. And of course, those poor cultists just get turned to paste. So now we are 12 shots into those Terminators. This is 12 shots from the Redemptor crashing into these Terminators, hitting on 3s. And nothing special with the 6s. 9 hits came through. They are going to wound on 3s as well. So that is 5 wounds have gone through those Terminators at -2 AP. So they are going to have a 4-up save thanks to their Terminator plate. And 2 wounds have gone through, which is going to annihilate 1 of those Terminators. They are not loyalist Terminators, they're still old Terminators, they've only got 2 wounds. So the Redemptor managed to clear off those cultists and take a Terminator. So casualties has swept across the Iron Warriors line brought in by the stoic and effective firepower of the Imperial fists. It has been mostly small arms fire, however, that has done the damage, as the heavy gun has yet to speak on both of these Titan war machines. So there's a morale check to do, and unless they roll a 1, it's going to be pretty bad. They don't, so that is going to be 1 runs away, and then the remaining 3 stand firm. So with that, the Imperial Fists end their first turn, and they have held thus far, but the Iron Warriors could crash against them yet. They could inflict some serious damage if the 4 las cannons from that Land Raider manage to speak this turn. But let's see what the Iron Warriors do in turn 2. End of the movement phase for the Iron Warriors, and they have moved forward again. The Chaos Space Marines have pushed up on to take up a defensive position behind these pipes. The Terminators have done the same on this side, as has the Land Raider, and the Cultists have sprung their plan. They have called out across the corrupted Vox. They have blared dirges on their corrupted Chaos Warhorns and have summoned those that have already turned traitor within the Iron Warriors ranks. The Tide of Traitors stratagem, 2 command points, and brings them back on anywhere in the battlefield within 6 inches of a table edge and 9 inches from enemy models. And the narrative in my head is that they have been waiting for their brethren to come, and their death screens have summoned them to now attack those who deny the Chaos Gods, who deny the fact that the Emperor is a liar. So they are here to hit the Imperial Fists in the rear. We're going to do some Psychic Powers. Prescience once more on a 7. That is a fail, and I am going to cast Warp Time on the Terminators once more, pushing them forward. Warp Time does go off. Warp Time does go off, and I just measured the Librarian is still a few inches short of denial range. So these Terminators are going to move again. Terminators pushing forward. I should mention at this point, if I haven't mentioned it already, that the Terminators, the reason they're on the battle grid is to do with the fact that this is an underground complex. This complex is deep in the supply facility of this Imperial Fist-owned world, and to teleport into it would have taken great time and skill. Time that the Iron Warriors unfortunately did not have, so the Terminators have taken to marching on foot forward to take on the Imperial Fists. But now that the Psychic phase is done, we're going to move on to shooting, and let's start with the big guns. Let's shoot this Land Raider into the repulsor. 4 shots with the las cannons, hitting on 3s. 3 hits. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound. The Imperial Fists will save this on a 5+ because the tank is still 50% obscured. And they don't save it this time, so it is D6 damage. 6 damage against that repulsor. That could be significant. I should say at this point that I use stratagems. I don't use command rerolls when I'm playing Solo Hammer, because command rerolls and Solo Hammer don't really work, because you'll use command rerolls when you really want something to happen in your own army. And because I'm impartial, because I'm playing both sides, I just feel that using command point rerolls is cheating fate, so I let the dice tell the story. I let the dice play out the narrative. I will use stratagems like I do with Tide of Traitors because that suits the narrative. So I'm not going to use command rerolls in solo play. So for example, if a Psyker destroys himself thanks to Perils of the Warp, it's supposed to happen, okay? In my opinion. And if something misses, for example, or fails to wound, then it's part of the narrative. So that's where we are there. So that didn't happen, but we're going to fire the heavy bolter into this squad this time. It's got 6 shots. They are going to hit on 3s. 4 hits. They are going to wound. Oh my goodness. Drop dice, don't count. They're going to wound on 3s. And all of them wound. AP -1. 4 up saves. Dropping dice all over the place. 4 of those wounds went through. 4 up saves. 3 have failed. That squad has been halved in 1 salvo. We have 3 Imperial Fists down, and now the Stormbolter is also going to speak. 2 shots at this range. 1 hit. No wounds. All the firepower has come through from this Land Raider. Dealing 6 damage to the repulsor is quite significant, but has it been enough? And halving that squad, has it been enough? Other guns have still yet to fire. Let's move on. The Sorcerer is within range and is going to shoot 2 shots from his combi bolter. Well, combi melta, but he gets his 2 shots because he's in Terminator armor, and he hits on 3s and wounds on 4s. 2 wounds. 2 3-up saves. No, the Terminator Sorcerer picks off another Imperial Fist. There's a Heavy Flamer, 2 Combi Meltas, and a Combi Flamer in this squad. So 6 of the Combi Bolter shots, and the Bolter side of the Combi Bolter shots, are going to go into these last 2 remaining Imperial Fists. Can they pick them off? Hitting on 3s. That is 5 hits. Wounding on 4s. That is 3 wounds. It's not enough to kill them, but perhaps they could down another Imperial Fist. They tickle him. He's got 1 wound remaining. Now we're moving on to this squad of Chaos Space Marines. These Iron Warriors are going to fire 7 bolter shots. I've just knocked over terrain. They're going to fire 7 bolter shots across into that squad of Imperial Fists, and the missile launcher is going to go, of course, into the repulsor. But let's do the 7 shots first of all, hitting on 3s. That is 5 hits, and we're going to wound on 4s. And that is 4 wounds, not too bad. We have got 3-up saves, and all of them have passed. No damage done yet from this squad, but the missile launcher speaks. Hits on a 4 because they moved. Fails to hit. It ricochets off one of those fuel canisters and just plunks a dead shell into the ground. So that is it for Iron Warriors turn 2. Have they done enough damage against the Imperial Fists? Perhaps we shall have to see. This squad has been halved. They have lost more than half. They have lost 4. They will have to take a morale check on their leadership of 8 or 9. Leadership 8, lost 4. They are fine. They do not need to take morale. And that is it for Iron Warriors turn 2. Now it's time for the Imperial Fists to speak. Hold on to your Mark III Heresy era helmets, because we forgot about the traitors that have popped up. They are going to put their shots into the rear of that squad and see if they can do any damage. They're all armed with autoguns, so let's go for that. Hitting on 4s. And not a bad spread of hits. 7 hits. Wounding on 5s. If we get a roll like that again, it'd be really good. 1 wound. Just 1 wound goes through. On a 3+. Saved. They didn't do anything. It was almost as if it wasn't worth rolling. End of the movement phase for the Imperial Fist. The repulsor has stayed still. It's still in its top bracket, but 6 wounds is significant. The Imperial Fist squad on this side of the battle grid have formed up in 2 ranks and are ready to unleash hell on these Iron Warriors. The tactical doctrine is in effect, so their assault weapons will be AP -1. The Librarian is moved up to support them. Over on this side, they have pushed forward towards the Terminators, and the Dreadnought and the Captain have stood out, ready to bear down on that Land Raider and that squad. So, a gambit on this side. Can it pay off? Maybe the Terminators will not be here next turn. Maybe they will. Let us see what happens as we go on to the Psychic phase. In the Psychic phase, the Librarian is going to smite the unit of Iron Warriors straight ahead of him. And that fails on a 4. He is then going to use Psychic Fortress on the squad in front of him, or well, an aura around him, and that does go off on a 9. The sorcerer will try and deny it because it's the last power, and that's cocked. He does not deny it on a 6, so Psychic Fortress has gone off. In the shooting phase, and we're starting with the big guns again. Small arms fire going in to that squad of Iron Warriors, and the big gun going in to the Land Raider. 2 shots hitting on 2s. Both hit. This happened last time. Wounding on 3s. Both wound. AP is -4. 6 pluses to save on the Land Raider. Both have failed. This is D3 plus 3 damage with every shot. So that is 4, 5, 9 damage off that Land Raider. It has been reduced halfway down its bracket. 9 wounds off the Land Raider, and now the small arms fire are going to speak into this squad. We'll start off with the heavy bolter, which is 6 shots, and it is going to hit on 3s, and that is 3 hits. It is going to wound on 3s. That is 2 wounds. They are within an inch of that barricade, so they will have a 2 up save, which -1 goes to a 3 up save. And 1 Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine, is going to die. Then we have 4 shots from the Storm Bolters, and that becomes an extra hit thanks to Imperial Fists. Forced to wound. 1 wound. It is -1 AP, so just a 3 up save. Thanks to the Tactical Doctrine, and another Iron Warrior dies. Then we have 12 shots from the Onslaught Gatling Cannon, hitting on 3s. And oh, if it could only be a bolter weapon, that would have been nice. 3s to wound. And it is AP -1. So a 2 up save becomes a 3 up save with this turn, which is 7 wounds. How many more will be picked off? 3 up saves. 3 more Iron Warriors die. The squad has been halved, and there are still more guns to come. We have got 12 shots from the Fragstorm grenade launchers because it's a blast weapon, and when they were declared as a target, they were at their full complement and everything happened simultaneously. 3s to hit, and this is not a bolt weapon either, so that is 6 hits. 4s to wound. 3 wounds come through. 3 2 up saves. 3 up saves because the Tactical Doctrine is in effect. 2 more Iron Warriors have died, leaving only the squad leader, the melta gun, and the heavy weapon specialist with the missile launcher left, and there are still more guns to fire. D3 shots with the Icarus rocket pod. 2 shots. 3s to hit. 3s to wound. -1, 3 up save. Saved. Icarus rocket pod punches harmlessly off. Then we have got our heavy stubbers. 8 shots with the Icarus heavy stubber. And it's hitting on 3s. So that is 6 hits. 4s to wound. 3 wounds come through. 3 2 up saves. And 1 more dies. The melta gun is gone. And finally, 4 shots from the heavy stubber. Which is 2 hits. And this is -1 actually, so it'll be a 3 up save. And that is... The sergeant is going to go. So that squad have been all but annihilated by the firepower from this repulsor. The Imperial Fists have put their pride into this weapon of destruction, and so far it has paid off, paying dividends on this side of the battle grid. We're going to move on to this squad, and 15 shots are going to rain in on that remaining Marine. 15 shots hitting on 3s and 6s are great. 8 hits, 4 of them are 6s, which mean it is 12 hits in total. 4s to wound, and it is AP -1. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 wounds. Not looking good for this Marine. 4 up saves because of the -1. And yet he is gone too. They have been annihilated off this battle grid. This Iron Warrior's gambit may not have paid off. Now we'll move around to this flank, where the Dreadnought is going to speak. The Dreadnought is going to put his everything into the Terminators to try and wipe them out. So let's do the Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon first of all. 12 shots, hitting on 3s. That was 11 hits. 11 hits! Wounding on 3s. 7 wounds at AP -1. 3 wounds taken on that squad, 1 dead, 1 on a wound. But these Iron Warriors have had enough. 1 command point for the stratagem, Iron Within, Iron Without. They will ignore these on 6s. They don't ignore them. 1 dead and 1 has taken a wound. That is 6 shots now from the smaller Gatling Cannon. 3s to hit, that's 5 hits, 3s to wound. And that is 3 wounds at AP -1. 3 up saves. All of them passed. Haha, they say no. Stormbolters. 4 shots. They're not within rapid fire range. They are within rapid fire range. 8 shots, hitting on 3s. 6s are good, which is good because that was terrible. So that's 6 hits in total. Wounding on 4s. And that's not bad. These are at AP -1. So that's 4. 3 plus saves. 1 failed. And that is another Marine dead. Another Terminator has gone. And now the Icarus rocket pod. D3 shots. 1 shot hits on a 3. That's a hit. Wounds on a 3. That's a wound. AP -1. 4 up save. Saved on a 6. So 2 of the Terminators have fallen so far. Now this squad, who have been blessed by the captain to reroll everything, are going to unleash 6 shots into the Terminators as well. And they are rerolling everything. So that is 6 hits because that 6 turns into a hit. And then 4s to wound. 3 wounds, which is 3. 3 up saves. 1 has failed and a 6 up shrug. Nope. Why bother? 1 of them has taken a wound. And finally, the last model to shoot is the captain. He is going to fire his gun, Mastercrafted Bolter, 2 shots. And he doesn't reroll himself. And wounds on a 4. That is a wound. It is AP minus something. That's a fail. So a 6 up shrug. And that is a fail. They've rolled 1s for all the shrugs. 1 Terminator stands defiant. So at the end there is a huge dent now. There are only 3 Astartes left in the Iron Warriors army. And a squad of measly cultists here. Can something be done? Can that Dreadnought be taken care of? Can this repulsor be taken down as well? Let's find out. There's no morale needed for that Terminator because he is the champion and they lost 3, so there's no way he can fail. It's going to go down to this turn. Turn 3 for the Iron Warriors. Can they make significant damage? Let's find out. So in the movement phase, the lone Terminator champion is charging forward, yelling "Death to the traitors!" using the command or the stratagem Unholy Vigor to give 3 wounds back to the Land Raider, bringing it back up into its top bracket. And the Sorcerer has moved in here to have a commanding field. The Cultist moving forward into this position, and now it's into the Psychic phase, where we're going to try and cast once more Prescience, this time targeting the Land Raider. That goes off on a 7. The Imperial Fist will try and deny, and do not deny, matching it on a 7. So that Land Raider will now be hitting on 2s. The final power that is going to manifest is a Smite going out against that Space Marine squad, and that does go off on a 7. And we'll do D3 mortal wounds. 3 mortal wounds? One of them was already wounded. He wipes out the squad. Interesting. In now to the shooting phase, and we're going to start with this Terminator. He's going to put his Melta, Combi Melta, into that Redemptor, hitting on a 3. He hits. He will wound on a 3. He wounds. No armor save. D6 damage. 5 damage against the Redemptor. That's pretty significant. 5 damage caused, but he's not out of the fight yet. And it gives options now for the Land Raider. The Land Raider is going to split fire. It's going to put its heavy bolters, its storm bolter, and 2 of its las cannons into the Redemptor to try and get rid of this. And then 2 las cannons are going to slam in to this repulsor. So let's do that. First of all, 2 las cannon shots into the repulsor, hitting now on 2s thanks to prescience. Both hit. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound. AP -3. A 6-up save. A 5-up save, sorry, because of cover for the repulsor. Fails. D6 damage. It's 1. Just 1 damage against the repulsor this time. But now we have 2 las cannon shots against the Redemptor. 1 hit. Wounding on a 3. Fails to wound. 6 shots. With the heavy bolters. 3 hits. 5 to wound. 2 wounds. AP -1. 4-up saves. 2 more damage taken off the repulsor. The Redemptor, sorry. He's more than halfway gone. Stormbolter. 1 hit. No wound. And then finally, the last weapon on this side will be the Stormbolter from the Sorcerer going into the Redemptor to 1 shot. 2 shots, sorry, because he moved, and they both miss. Not because he moved, because he's a Terminator, is what I meant to say. Not much done on this flank. Wounded Redemptor. 1 wound off the repulsor. But the Land Raider can still hold its own. Now the cultists in the backfield are going to unload everything into this squad here. And they fired in, managing to do enough this time to bring down one of them, rolling 2 pluses for their armor save. So that is 1 more tank down, or 1 more marine down. But things aren't looking good for the Iron Warriors. There's going to be some charges. The Terminator is going to charge into the Redemptor. Needing an 8-inch charge, and the Redemptor will fire Overwatch. So the charge first is a fail. It's not going to happen. Let me double check. Yeah, it's definitely an 8 was needed, because 9 inches away. But oh well. Now Overwatch is going to come in against this Terminator. 12 shots from the Onslaught Gatling Cannon. 6 is to hit. And 2. This could be enough. 3s to wound. 1 wound. Saved. Six shots now from the smaller Gatling gun. Nothing. 8 shots from the Stormbolter. 2, which become 4 because it's a bolter. 4s to wound. 1 wound. AP is -1. Dead. Terminator. So the Iron Warriors have not done enough to push into this battle grid. Seeing his warriors fall before him, this sorcerer calls the retreat across the corrupted Vox, but not before the Imperial Fists fire one last volley into his troops. Let's do Imperial Fists turn 3 to see just how badly the Iron Warriors get pummeled. End of the movement phase for the Imperial Fist, in turn 3, beg your pardon, and not much to be said. The Smoking Dreadnought on 6 wounds left has moved up, citing the Sorcerer with his weapons, as has the Captain to run in and mop him up if he manages somehow to survive the firepower that is coming against him. The Repulsor has trained its big guns once more on the Land Raider. Maybe this time will be enough to take it out, while the smaller guns are going to munch into these cultists, as is this squad, who has turned and is now ready to take care of the traitors that have appeared within the Imperial Fist lines, supported of course by their Librarian. Speaking of the Librarian, let's do a smite. Perils of the Warp! D3 mortal wounds are suffered. 3 mortal wounds. He gets a headache. So the Sorcerer, perhaps, has planted some seed, some doubt in this Librarian's mind, distracting him from his power. He'll try and cast Psychic Fortress. That does go off. A 5-up invulnerable save around him. Not that it will matter. Let's move on and do some shooting. 12 shots from Big Gun into Sorcerer, this time hitting on 4s, because he is wounded. And he also does reroll 1s, because he is core. I didn't realise that, next to the Chapter Master. And we'll reroll everything being next to the Chapter Master. So that is, so far, 5 hits. Becomes 9 hits. 3s to wound. And that is 6 wounds. 6. -1, +1. Negates out because of the cover. 2-up saves. Passes them all. 6 shots now from the smaller cannon. And rerolling everything. Sorry, that's a miss as well. And that is 5 hits. Again, 3s to wound. That is 4 wounds this time. And I'll use my black dice. I need to remember my dice. 2-up saves. All of them passed. 8 Stormbolter shots. 4s. Rerolling everything. And that was nice, because those 6s, 3 of them, make 9 shots hit out of 8. And 4s to wound. Just the 3 wounds with a 2-up save. 1 does go through. 4 wounds left on that Sorcerer. And the Icarus Storm Pod, 1 shot. Hits on a 4. Use a yellow dice. Doesn't wound on a 1. So, that's the Redemptor has spoken. 2 shots from the Mastercrafted, 3 shots, sorry, from the Captain. I only did 2 shots earlier, my mistake. But he does hit 3 times, and the 6 pops an extra hit, so 4. And wounding on 4s. 2 wounds. 2-up saves. 1 failed, and that is 2 damage. So only 2 wounds left on the Sorcerer. Big guns now against the Land Raider, small guns against the cultists. Let's do the big guns. Hitting on 2s thanks to Aquilon Optics. Both hit. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound. -4 is a 6-up save on the Land Raider. No, and D3 plus 3 damage is 4 damage. The Land Raider has got 6 wounds left. And the cultists just got turned to red paste, as would be expected, and have disappeared. This squad can't actually see the sorcerer. No, they can actually. Hang on. One of them can see the sorcerer, so I'm only going to shoot one. That makes narrative sense to me, which becomes 3 hits, and 1 wound. It is -0 anymore, so a 2-up save. And of course he takes it. He's got 1 wound left. Is this sorcerer going to die? Everything is shot. It's time for charges. The captain is going to charge with a -2, but he has the Imperium Sword Warlord trait, so he can reroll this. Definitely going to need to reroll it. Is an 8 enough? An 8 was enough. He goes charging into that sorceress and swings his blade across the line. So the captain has got 5 attacks base, +1 for being a Space Marine charging, and +1 for the Imperium Sword. He has got the Relic, the Burning Blade, so these are at strength 8, AP -5, and 2 damage. Hitting on 2s. Everything hits. Wounding on 2s. That is 5 wounds. This Terminator Sorcerer needs 5 5-up saves. He almost does it, but he has fallen. The Iron Warriors have been defeated. The Land Raider, which has managed to survive salvo after salvo from the repulsor, is going to reverse and bring the word back to the War Master, the warmonger of this Iron Warriors horde, that their mission to get more supplies from the Imperial Fists, the hated enemy, was a failure. So the Imperial Fist survivors rally around their captain as he returns the blood of the corrupted sorcerer slick on his blade, and he tells them, "Fear not, brothers. We have held, and the enemy have retreated. They are ready to refuel now, resupply, to repair damage done to the Dreadnought, repair damage done to the repulsor. But they are Astartes. They are the Emperor's finest. They know that this is but one of countless thousands of battles that they will participate in the coming years. Because this is the 41st millennium. This is the grim darkness. And there is only war." So thank you for watching. My first Warhammer 40k battle report. Really enjoy playing 40k. And loved painting up nice big tanks and dreadnoughts and all the different vehicles and stuff. This battle mat is from gamemat.eu, which is a great battle mat. And all of their battle mats are great, I'll be perfectly honest. I have a few of them now. The scenery is also from gamemat.eu. Literally comes painted, lift it out, stick it down, boom, you've got an instant battlefield. This was made using one of their Chemzone kits, the yellow Chemzone kit, with a few scenery pieces of my own from Mantic, well, ones that I built from a Mantic Games kit. And believe it or not, these are just tubs of old baby powder sprayed silver. I do need to wash them and stuff, make them maybe look a bit more grimy, but as you can see, they look pretty good, the silos. So yes, any fathers out there that have babies and take alimenting baby powder, great for Warhammer. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more content. I'm going to start developing the channel more as the year goes on. With lockdown and everything ending now, I should be able to get real life opponents in, and I'll still continue Solo Hammer, but I want to develop Solo Hammer into a system maybe where I use cards or something to draw decisions, to make it a bit more random, to make it a bit more tactical. But it's a dice driven game, and the dice are random. It doesn't matter who throws them, the dice tell the story, and I'm all about the story. I'm all about the narrative. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and as always guys, happy wargaming.